All right, so we're about to go live again. Okay, here we are. We're live again. I just disappeared for a quick lunch break. We're kind of starting off our stream. We're basically this is my live stream. I'm a professional artist, illustrator, graphic designer. Been doing that for about 20 years, and for about 8 of those years, I've been doing art direction full time. So that's kind of my full time day job. And I use this stream as a live stream where I work on my comics, my different comic projects and graphic novel projects. One of which is available for pre-order from Graphic Mundi, so you can check out the link to it below. And we'll be playing trailers for it as well, called Jacob's Apartment. And then the other that I've published so far is Two Stories, which is my graphic novel that's autobiographical, that tells about my journey dealing with depression, as well as like growing up as a geek in the 80s and early 90s, where I dressed as like Indiana Jones for an entire year at school before there was such a thing as cosplay, which didn't work out too well. Anyhow, so it's a pretty fun, but also very heartfelt and heavy story, and definitely none of those two stories are for kids. Two Stories, I'd say, is for like young adults to adults, and Jacob's Apartment would be like ages 16 and up. But I'll be playing trailers for those as we're working on comics today. But let's get back into it. So on the last stream, we were working on roughing out pages for a graphic novel called Not Death But Love: The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And it's a story about Elizabeth Barrett Browning, the poet. There's a lot of familiar characters like Robert Browning, the poet, and it takes place in the Victorian era. It's a very well researched historical fiction graphic novel script. And on these live streams, we've been kind of working through it from page 1 all the way to right now. We're working on roughs. So on the last stream this morning, we kind of worked on thumbnailing page 18 and working on the tight roughs for 2 of the panels. And we're going to get right back into it and continue where we left off. I think, Ben, was there something you wanted to show first? Or are we good to start? We're good to start. Okay. I thought he might have another Lego creation. My son might have. Oh, he does have another Lego creation. You want to show it real quick before I get going? Okay, and Benji, while the dogs are barking, we're doing this on a Sunday. Let me throw this off. Okay, there's Benji's creation.
This is a Minecraft torch.
A Minecraft torch that Benji made out of Legos.
It uses a lot of Lego pieces, so I bet that you might not be able to actually build it yourself.
Yeah, it's true. I love it, Ben. Cool. Thank you.
And Dad, I think you should read what StreamYard said.
Oh, yeah, that's not a chat. That's just nobody's commented in the chats yet, Ben. It just says live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. This is an example. Just click on a comment to show it on the screen. Yeah. But a lot of people will watch after the fact too, and I'm sure they appreciate seeing your Lego creation. Thank you for sharing that. All right, I got to get to drawing now, okay? High five! I'm on fire! Okay. Thank you, Ben. All right, so anyhow, oh no! And he dropped his Minecraft torch.
Okay, Ben?
Yeah. I think he's going to put it back together, so that's a little heartbreaking, though. He was so proud of that torch, but he'll get there. He knows that Legos can be rebuilt. So, okay. We've seen a Minecraft torch, and now let's get into our drawing. So, okay. So, format of the show for anybody who's just tuning in for the first time. I work on roughs over there, and down here's the section of the script that I'm working out and kind of going to work through. and then we'll kind of get there together. So let's see where we're at. So basically we had our thumbnails. Elizabeth was saying no. Her maid Wilson was saying, are you unwell? Should I send for Mr. Browning? And then this third panel is going to be Wilson picking up a laudanum bottle labeled opium tincture. So this next panel, we thought it would be better and more impactful to have the third panel kind of just highlight. That could all be shown in like one panel, but I think it helps to show also Elizabeth somewhat sitting down on the Chase lounge behind her in the room. So that sets the stage to what we're going to be working on drawing. And we'll see. My hope, like I've talked about this on the last stream, but just to catch you guys up in case you didn't watch that, I am recovering from being sick for almost a week. And yesterday I was going to work and I had to end up sleeping a good chunk of the day. And today I'm starting to feel it come back a little bit. So my hope is, at least for this particular stream, is going to be finish the rough for page 18. We'll see where I'm at from there. I might end up ending the stream at that point, taking a quick nap, and then hitting the next two roughs or whatever if I can later in the day. If I'm feeling up for it though, like once I'm in the flow of it, maybe we can get more than just the rest of this page roughed out, but we'll see. We also researched a lot of laudanum bottles from the Victorian era because they're called for in the script, and figured out kind of the staging for how that would work. So here we go. We're gonna move that laudanum bottle over here as we're serenaded by the barking dogs of the household. All right. So let's get into it. So basically, this is going to be Elizabeth now sitting on the Chase lounge. I think this is supposed to be almost the same setting. So what we can do here is kind of steal our setting from above. And I think just increase the size of it. And possibly the height of it. Okay. Okay, so it's kind of the same setting, but we're going to have Elizabeth sitting down. So what I want to do, just to keep the scale about the same, is I want to actually draw over what we just copied over in magenta. I think that's what we'll do. So this one is going to be Elizabeth. Her arm's going to be back like this as like a weight. And actually it should be bent back a little bit too, because she's kind of putting some pressure on it. So this is going to be her arm. And she is going to be sort of, oh, let's look at our rough here too. Okay. She's going to be looking over to Wilson still. With her hair, which is like Elizabeth has really, like as we've seen on previous pages, she has these exceptionally like thick curly locks of hair, like as it goes down. Her hair goes down a little bit. She's wearing a gown. But at this point, what was I having her do with her other hand? Ah, okay, this is her holding her books still. She has a stack of like 3 books in her hand. So we're going to kind of try to remember that. Like, okay. And then her arm is kind of cradling those books. Her other hand was cradling the books before, but now she's using that hand to lay down or to sit down. And she's going to be leaning forward a little bit because right now she's seating herself on this chaise lounge here. All day long, she's going to be sitting on the chaise long. It's a running gag on this show that there is a wonderful song called Chaise Long. And I am pretty much of the opinion that that would be Elizabeth's song during this point in the story. So right here, we're going to basically be, I'm drawing over all the things that I'm going to need to fill in for this to kind of work, but not going to draw much more than that. And I might even do a little bit of the shading. This will make a lot more sense, this technique. Also, I'll just talk about it a little bit, even though I've talked about it before. Sometimes I'll make the assumption that everybody knows the terminology I'm using, and that would be a mistake if you're like a newer viewer or you're less familiar with like the art process. So let me go ahead and explain. That thing on the right there is like a thumbnail, which is a real quick sketch where you're just kind of comping it out for yourself. What we're working on right now is a rough. And a rough is like a rough version of what your final is going to look like, but it's a lot more considered and gives you a better sense. Like for me, what I'm using it for is composition, lighting, acting, staging, and it'll give us a really clear picture of what the final is going to look like while still being somewhat loose and unfinalized. From there, I'll go and make a tight, like I'll make final pencils basically. Once this part would be the section that I send to a publisher. So now we need to have, the maid is going to be over here, Wilson. And she's not going to be too far from where she was, but I want her to be reaching over to get the laudanum bottle. So here's, oh, let's get back to that full magenta. So I want her hand reaching over here. She hasn't quite gotten to it yet, because that'll be the next phase. And she is wearing this outfit that has these sort of like lace cuffs, and then it puffs out towards the sleeves. And then she has these kind of like a very unique uniform that we sort of looked up earlier and have used on the last set of roughs. Gary said, and we're back. I love it. And I love the inflection there. Very much said like a writer, Gary. The way that was written, I knew exactly the cadence and tempo you wanted me to read it at. You would think that you're writing a comic book called Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. That's really well written. By the way, how's progress going on that, Gary? I hope you didn't get hit with like the crazy sick. I should be thankful though. I guess in this era in time, if any of us get sick and it's not COVID, that's something to be really thankful for. So I can't complain because it wasn't COVID. That to me is like, that was a huge thing. The fact that, because obviously, like any, right now at this era in time, anytime you get like a flu or a fever or anything, you have to kind of test and make sure it's not the worst case scenario, and I feel like that right now, especially with seasonal stuff, that's a tough one. So anyone out there who's had to go through that, I empathize, because like just a week of, and honestly, it wasn't even a full week. It was more like, maybe 3 or 4 days, but that alone, just putting me out of work for a little bit, it makes you appreciate feeling okay. I've talked about that on this show before, but it's like, I think often in life, at least I catch myself being really ignorant of the things that I should be thankful for. And one of them is just like feeling normal, like feeling good, or even feeling capable of like working is a real luxury, that like I don't often consider, because it's like, it's kind of like breathing or walking. These are all things that we just do, and you really don't notice like what a luxury they are until they're gone. And I have to say, just having the conscious capacity to work is like such a cool thing. That like coming back from like just being in a scenario where like I could literally lay in bed. That's all I could do. Even if I get a rough done today, I will feel like I am so blessed to not be like sick today. Although I have to admit, I still do have it's not like I'm some like Zen monk or something. I definitely have the frustration of the setback from being sick, where I'm like, oh man, I'm like, very far behind where I need to be, about almost a week behind now. And even today, I may not be able to quite close that gap, just because I'm still not at like 100%. But still, I'm thankful for, like, I need to be thankful for the fact that, like, hey, it's pretty cool that I can even do this stuff, like, because a couple days ago, I really couldn't do much except listen to Kendrick Lamar's brilliant album, which, we'll have to hear more. I'll talk more about, I'm sure, because when I get obsessed with a certain musician, this is something friends of mine tease me about. It's like, I think right now I've probably talked about Kendrick Lamar like quite a lot on this stream, just because I think he's the best guy in hip hop, one of the best artists alive right now. But it's like, when I get into something, I tend to just like, that's the thing that I will talk about for forever, ad nauseum. Or when I'm sick, ad nauseous. I'm here all day, guys. Gary said, currently healthy, but hoping I don't tempt fate with my con trip in a couple weeks. You'll be all right. Don't quote me on that, though, because if you're not, then you could, or you could make it fun and quote me on that. Be like, Josh, you told me I'd be all right. But yeah, I have a upcoming trip to Canada that I got to get moving on. I have to actually book a flight for that. Probably next weekend I'll book flights and hotels and all that fun stuff. I also did take the time to vote, because that's what you should do as a human being. I think Ben might have something he wants to share. Hey, Ben, if you give me like another minute, let me just erase out this stuff. I don't know what's attacking me behind me. Whoa! Et tu, Brute, my own son. All right, Ben. Here, hold on. Let me finish this panel, and then I can put you on the big screen, so you can show people the weapons that you just took out your dad with. Gary was saying the violence. You guys, these live streams are like action movies. You never know what's going to happen. Like I could be working on art and then just get attacked by 2 swords to the head. Just done. This is the fun thing about being Ben. Hang on a sec. This is the fun thing about being a dad, though. Is like the fact that everything's an adventure. Try not to hit the actual glass, bud, of the screen. All right, so are you almost ready, Ben?
I'm already ready.
Okay, so let me save this, and then I'm going to go to full screen. So we've finished the 3rd panel, and now we're going to have Benji show us. We're going to have craft time with Ben real quick. So here we go. Ben, what have you made?
Dual swords.
Dual swords.
I said dual swords.
Oh, okay. I thought you
It's
said
2.
swords like Wu-Tang or
It's
something.
not just one sword, but 2.
2 of them.
But they're both really easy to make.
They are pretty cool.
They're made out of lots of basic pieces.
I like it. Thank you for sharing it.
This is just, you see, well, it's really easy to make these. I bet you can actually make these at home.
Awesome.
If you have the right parts.
Yep, that's true.
They're only 1 Lego thin.
1 Lego thin. So you don't have to do like 2 Legos thick or anything like that. Just 1 Lego thin. I love it.
Yeah, just 1 Lego thick.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, Ben, I got to get back to drawing, bud. Oh, I do need a high five, though. I don't know how we do that with the 2 swords. Oh, awesome. All right, that was cool. Like I said, this stream is an adventure, you guys. You have seen examples of how to make Lego swords. You've seen violence. You've seen me attacked by said Lego swords while drawing. And it just goes to show you guys that drawing comics can be both fun and dangerous. Got to keep a lookout for swords. And I think the swords got dropped. It's sad. He keeps showing his amazing Lego creations. And then like right after showing them, I hear this because he's dropped them on the floor. The poor little dude.
I didn't drop it this time.
Oh, okay.
Just fell.
It just fell. Got it.
Yeah, I literally just like randomly fell on the ground. But only the sword parts.
Got it. Okay. So
and by sword parts, I mean the actual sword parts.
Yeah. Well, you can rebuild them. Okay, so now we're going to get into the Wilson picks up a laudanum bottle labeled opium tincture from a table beside the sofa. So now we got to draw that. And we had our bottle that we looked up. And there were a couple other iterations of said bottle that will be useful to have. And I think there was this too. Oh.
And then it goes like this.
So now I'm gonna put this here, and then I'm gonna put my thumbnail over here. So we have that to see. See, like I said, illustration is not a safe activity because in the background, my wife is now being attacked by said swords. And what was she doing?
Just
Illustrating
drawing.
and drawing without seeing behind her the swords that were coming for her. That's a lesson, you guys. When you're out there doing illustration or art, keep one eye on the back of your head for swords. That's all.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's a good point. It really doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I got a laugh out of Ben. That's good.
Ooh, my head.
So this is going to be basically her picking up the laudanum bottle. And I want it to be like maybe about here where we're going to have the bottle. We're going to have the cork. This will inevitably be, there we go. This is a rough, but we still want to be a little bit accurate to what it's going to look like. Okay. What I'm doing for this laudanum bottle is I'm going to kind of create an amalgam, if that's even the right word for this. This is the maid, so we're going to see her. It might be way too big of a bottle, but I like it. So the maid is getting this bottle of laudanum that we're going to be able to read the label of here. And I'll even give her a spoon. And we talked pretty exhaustively about sort of the weird roots of strange Victorian medicine habits on the last one, so I don't want to exhaust the subject. But it is strange that there was an era in time where people would kind of prescribe these like insane remedies for like what could otherwise later on, like once science was like further established, be more rationally explained through other and solved through other means. Okay, so this needs to say opium tincture. So I'm going to use that border thing because I like it from this, from the first bottle that you see on the bottom left. And again, this is a rough. With something like this, like what I might do when it comes to the final, depending on how often we're going to be showing this bottle, I might just design a label in like Illustrator that I can basically place in multiple locations that have this like kind of crazy detail that I like, that I would want, and at least use that as a baseline to do finals over. Let's see here. I like this. What does that say there? Is that established? Well, whatever. I like the idea of it being called tabloid. That's very uncentered, so let's get that fixed. Tabloid and having kind of like a established, we'll put 1805 or something. And then we're going to put sort of the thing that's up there on the Glover's bottle down there. Then we'll borrow that line. That's going to say opium tincture. Opium tincture. And then it usually says laudanum. And that'll be so then there's some kind of script down here that we'll have to work out and figure out. Hill Buildings, laudanum. Then there's some kind of scripty thing here, and then there's blocks of type that are sort of going to be throughout this. Okay. Woohoo! Okay. You guys, we are rocking through this as if it is the Casbah on London Calling. All right. Laudanum bottle. It's going to be a bottle. The light source is still going to be somewhat from the right.
Mom, I just made a holder for a sword. Whoa. Whoa. That's cool. We can even draw it out and place it back in.
All right, so now we're going to do just some environmental stuff, like this is the, and by environmental stuff, I don't mean like we're not going to buy a Tesla and get solar panels. Both of which I would do if I could afford it. But no, we're just talking about other environments. I just had to try to make a dad joke out of it. I hope that wasn't too painful for you guys to hear. Yeah, Gary, that's exciting. You're on page 14, man. That's pretty good. It's good progress, buddy. At some point, my goal is to lap you. That is my goal. Just for fun. So we have to kind of fill in that crazy. We'll be more meticulous about the floor pattern. It's a very strange carpet that Elizabeth had in the Barrett residence. Okay, let's more clearly solidify and try to get rid of these tangents going on here. We're gonna have our room floor here. It's a floor, you guys. I know, it's very exciting. Exciting times. I have to say, I think this has been a fairly exciting stream, though. You have drawing, you have sword fights at the very top. There were some murders apparently at the very beginning. Some like very like Greek tragedy kind of level murders too, because it was a son stabbing their father with no notification, and then you had it just flip entirely, and in the background you had some crazy stuff happening to a helpless children's book illustrator behind us got attacked by a sword. This is a crazy stream. Really, I think we need like a movie deal or something for just today's stream, you know? Okay. We have okay, we're getting there. So there's our thing. Now we need to do Elizabeth pushes the bottle away. Oh, there's a thumbnail here. This one's going to be more Elizabeth, who's now going to be sitting on the couch. I want this to be kind of mid-level up. She's going to be okay.
I need you to take this off.
She's finally sitting on the couch, somewhat settled.
Thank you.
And I want her hand to be pushing. It's kind of weird, weirdly long place for that to be. She's going to have the books on her lap at this point. Her hand here is going to be propping herself up a little bit. Jim said, my imitation of a family member. Josh, you should make cartoons like Peanuts and Garfield. Jim coming onto the stage with strength and power. How's it going, Jim? When will we see the new Jim Lujan cartoon? This is what I want to know. So this is going to be the bottle being brought. Jim said, we're getting ready to go to a wedding, a Sunday wedding. Can you believe it? Now, this is how like recovering from getting sick I am. Isn't a Sunday wedding a pretty common, isn't it? No? Oh, usually they're on Saturdays. Okay. My wife corrected me on that. This is going to be the spoon. This is the maid. And we'll see if the maids.
Mom, I just made the library rules. Oh, very cool. You can even take this book out and slide it back in.
Oh, it's a book. Very cool, dude.
Maid's going to have this.
Nice. What about this one?
Let's not do that. There's
Okay.
stuff about the back.
Oh,
So it won't be able to
okay.
slide back in without falling here.
you can make a wall here and then.
And this is going to be the Chase Lounge.
We should have too many books. Because this is just a ruins of the library.
We're going to have
So
her.
there shouldn't be many books left.
Her desk would be about there. It's got this kind of cool thing there. And we're going to see a little bit of that. Yep. Jim said, I got a ton of work done on Sugar Machine this weekend. I'm on the last 2 scenes now. Preview coming soon. And Jim, as a testament to your titles, the second I even said the title, I heard my wife snicker in the background. Pretty much any cartoon title you come up with cracks my wife up. That's pretty awesome.
Sugar.
That Jim Luani is a funny guy. I do like the imitation of like I did have relatives, I think, when I was younger. Not like immediate ones, but I definitely remember like aunts and uncles that would do the like, oh, you do comics, like you want to do things like, well, that's a bad. Nobody in my family even talks like that. It just sounds funny if it's a relative talking like that. But they'd be like, oh, like the funny papers, like Garfield or the Far Side, and which, by the way, the Far Side, that wouldn't be an insult or anything. You guys, we're getting close. Getting very, very close here. And as we're getting closer, we're almost at that point where we're going to have to play a trailer. Trailer for my upcoming book, graphic novel by Joshua Kemble. I'm kidding. My upcoming book, Jacob's Apartment by Joshua Kemble. Not graphic novel, although that would be a great, I don't know. I feel like, Jim, you should do a comic or a video, an animation called Animation by Jim Lujan. And I'll make a comic book or a graphic novel. Graphic novel would be better, just titled Graphic Novel by Joshua Kemble. And then people, if they come by your booth or whatever, if you're ever conventioning or ask about it, they'll be like, well, tell me about graphic novel. And you'll be like, well, it's a graphic novel. And that's it. That's your pitch. Anyhow, I think we should do that. Jim Lujan said, Mai is the Sharon to Josh's Ozzy. I know because I have one too. That's very true. There are definitely times where I'm just like, this is gonna just talking to rock and roll, you know. And then Mai's like, what he's trying to say is, yes, it is good to have somebody sane in the family. The problem with Mai and I, though, is we're both artists, so we're both a little nuts. Just saying. Don't underestimate the art within. But no, in reality, my wife is definitely the stable and amazing person. All right. So let's play that trailer. All right, guys, here's the trailer for Jacob's Apartment. It's going to say May. You'll notice that it is May and there is no Jacob's Apartment in your bookstore. That's because the release date is June 7th. So this will be released on June 7th everywhere. But right now you can pre-order it and should pre-order it and ask your local bookstore to order it as well. If you're in California too and you live near a bookstore, that would be really cool to have a signing at or something like that. Let me know. Just shoot me an email or something, or just let me know in the chats and I'll try to approach that bookstore and set up a signing because that's something I need to start doing pretty soon. All right, here we go. Here's the trailer and then we'll finish this page.
Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we be these things we've
looks like we're gonna actually finish these roughs, which is cool. So this last one is gonna be her saying, I want. Wow, that's pretty wonky writing there, guys. Let's try this a little better. Frank Salazar joining us in the chat, saying hello all. How's it going, Frank? How's your comics coming? I feel like I've been MIA for like almost a week because of being sick. But you were missed, Frank. That's all
Hey,
I'm
guys.
saying. Oh, I think that Benjamin wants to do another creators corner. So let me go ahead and finish writing this sentence. Remember this day, and then we'll go to full screen and we'll share Benjamin's latest creation of awesomeness. Okay, are you guys ready? I don't know if you are. Do you think they're ready, Ben?
I think they are.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Are you absolutely sure?
Absolutely sure.
Okay, let's pull off this this logo thing. All right, this is Benjamin. Benjamin, what do you have to bring us?
I just made the library of ruins. It only has one book left in it because all of the other books have been burned. And it also has a burnt barrier that keeps the book from falling out. And it's not a complete library because it's just the ruins.
Wow, so it's
The back also looks like plain old ruins.
yeah, I love the library ruins
Anyways,
with the removable book.
bye for now.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. That was Benjamin's Corner. Thank you guys for
Welcome.
joining us. Yeah. Gary in the chat said, well, 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 if it isn't Frank. That's actually my reaction right there. Frank. I should do that every time that Frank joins. Just be like, hey, Frank. Okay. All right, guys. Are you ready to rock this last thumbnail? And I know this is not like a ton of work today. For 2 streams. But considering I'm still kind of recouping from being sick, I think this will be pretty good progress to make before possibly disappearing and taking a very quick power nap so that I can then hopefully do 2 more roughs today, because that's my goal. So this is going to be Elizabeth here. Frank said he's doing all right. Had lunch at a friend's house after church. Had barbacoa tacos. What are barbacoa tacos? That sounds delicious.
Fire grilled chicken.
And also, Frank said the Library of Ruins sounds like a very cool story. It does. It kind of reminds me. Did you guys ever watch like Last Airbender? Like one of my favorite episodes of that is when they find the buried library. But yeah, I think like there is something really cool about just there's a lot of material to be mined. Sorry, mine and Minecraft. I just realized that wasn't an intentional dad joke, but see, they happen anyway. But there is a lot of really cool material like to be mined in like books and libraries, lost books, lost libraries. there's always that. You could always do, especially if you're doing stories that have to do with like archaeologists or something like that. You could always do like the lost library. Was it Alexandria or something, where we lost the entire library of Rome? Oh, I thought that we had like there was one of the world's biggest libraries. I think it was Rome or Greece. I think it was Rome, and there was a giant fire when I think the Persians invaded. But I think there have been a few incidents of burning libraries. Now I have to look that up. But anyhow, it is one of the saddest things to think that there's like all this knowledge that was just lost within an instant. We're just doing roughs here, but it's just trying to kind of have an interesting angle to. And this is going to be the side of that bottle. Frank was saying, I remember that episode. Oh, and he was saying that it's cow tongue and cheek, very tasty. Okay. I tried to do authentic menudo once. Actually, I ended up eating a bunch of it at a friend's house in high school. It was like during I think his sister's quinceañera, and it was a cool experience for me because I wasn't as familiar with like Hispanic culture and like how rad like at least I don't know, this family in particular, like they were good friends of mine, and like just such a different culture where it's like way less reserved at like a get together and gathering than like, you know, most of the kind of like white families I knew and stuff, you know. Because like you had like grandmas like pulling you on the dance floor and being like, you're going to dance, and like just giving you food, and like just everybody's dancing and having fun. But I remember it was like I stayed the night at my friend's house, and then the next morning we woke up all groggy, and I think we might have been a little hungover, to be honest. And we were eating like traditional menudo, and like my friend, like before he handed me the bowl, and he was like, just so you know, this is like real menudo, so like I just want to give you a heads up before, just in case that's a weird thing to you. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And he's like, it's got like tripe. And I was like, okay, like cool, what's tripe? And he's like, well, I mean, yeah. So I start eating, and I'm like, I'm starting to feel sick as I'm eating. because there's this like spongy texture. Like it felt like these spores just like I don't know, almost like you were eating something with like a bunch of little tentacles on it. And I'm a guy who like I have trouble eating weird textures. So it's like 5 bites in, he's like, by the way, that's intestine. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, that's like cow intestines. And I was like, I think I barfed. But it's a fun memory still. But I couldn't hold it down. So I'm always a little careful with like the extra stuff, but I have had cheek before and tongue, and it's pretty good. It doesn't have the same. It didn't gross me out as much as like it's actually pretty tasty. For me, it's really hard though. Like I definitely can't do tripe. Is all I'm saying. Jim said went to a student film festival at Long Beach University today. One of the films was about an existing video store. Oh, dude, Jim, was that Cal State Long Beach? Because my buddy Rick is like the chair of the illustration department there. So you should, if you're ever at Cal State Long Beach and you meet that guy, talk to him because Rick's one of a kind. He's a good dude. He's like us. He's like a really just cool, down to earth. Actually used to be a punk rocker, and now he's like the chair of the department there. But he's a cool dude. Now I'm curious about an existing video store. Has Ben ever experienced the joy of renting a movie from a video store for the weekend? No, he never has. I do remember, this is a fond memory of when Maya and I used to live in Long Beach and we were going to Cal State Long Beach. This is how old we are. There was a Blockbuster Video right by we were sharing like a terrible studio apartment in like the ghetto of Long Beach. And like right around the corner from where we lived was like this amazing Blockbuster. So we used to go there, like we used to blow, I mean, so much money renting movies. And the only reason I say so much money is like we had like nothing. Like we both had to work our way through school, and it was just like we didn't have a ton to work with, but we spent probably a little too much like renting movies from like Blockbuster right there, right around the corner. And then I think it was in that era where we lived there where it went out of business, and it was kind of sad for us at first. And that's back when like they went out of business because everybody started subscribing to the service of Netflix, but Netflix wasn't streaming at the time. And a lot of people don't know that. It's like Netflix didn't start out as a streaming service. Like that was like a little perk they added. But initially it was like a service where you'd like go online and you pick the 3 videos they were going to send you. I think it was 2 videos at first, and they'd come in these little red packages in the mail. It's weird to think that that's like old. Yeah, Jim said Cal State Long Beach. Yeah, exactly. The closest to a video store now would be a Redbox. Yeah, that's true. Okay, you guys, we finished it. We finished the rough. I'm very excited about this. I was a little concerned because it's like been a while since I felt healthy enough, like been a couple days since I felt healthy enough to draw. So it's like I always have that immediate concern come up where you're just like, oh my gosh. Oh, that's true. Frank was saying like Netflix was like Redbox. Yeah, it was. It just they just send it to us in the mail, you know, which is nuts. It's also funny to think that that's like something we have to explain now, because that was so modern and cool at the time. Although it was a little sad. I do remember there was this brief window of time when all the Blockbusters were going out of business, though, where you could like go and just get like a stack of DVDs for like $1. It was awesome for that brief period. Now I'm curious, man. I'd like to see the films that were there. A student. I feel like student animations can be really cool, like super inspiring. All right, so needless to say, I'm really excited that I got this done because, like, every once in a while, when you stop drawing for a little bit, like, or you're forced to stop drawing for a little bit, when it gets to drawing again, it can be like really like nerve-wracking where you're just like, can I still do it? Like, I was in a good flow before. Am I going to be able to get back to it? And I feel like yeah. So we're making good progress. Gary said, if you haven't had to argue with a customer over their late porn fees, you've never worked retail. That's right. The red veil, the red room. There was like, at most video stores had like that room that was like adults only. That was like the room that you didn't go in.
You had to pay for your porn.
Yeah, exactly. You used to have to pay for that stuff pre-internet. All right, you guys. I'm going to call it. With that being said, that's a nice last word to end on. You guys, you used to have to pay for porn. With that being said, I'm going to probably take off and nap so that I don't get more sick. And then by the next stream that I do today, maybe by that point, I'll actually have showered, so my hair won't look like a lunatic. But ironically, if I shower, my hair's still going to look like a lunatic.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon.
It's
talking about showering.
Yeah, that's a good point. My wife just pointed out this is very much the Sharon Osbourne kind of thing that Jim was mentioning earlier. She was saying, just to highlight, it's 2:30 p.m. and my husband hasn't showered. So yeah, so there we go. Oh, and then Jim was saying Gary had a great show yesterday. So maybe after I take my nap, I'll try to catch a little bit of Gary's show before I start live streaming again. But I will be live streaming again probably in the afternoon. I appreciate everybody who stopped by and come by to hang out and watch the stream. And I know this was a relatively short one, but again, I don't want to like push it and get sick again or more sick. I want to make sure that I'm not, like I'm listening to what my body needs. So anyhow, that'll do it. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, and I hope you guys have a really good Sunday. Jim, I hope you have an awesome time at your friend's wedding. Gary, I hope you made good progress on your page. Frank, I'm glad you had an awesome lunch. And anyone watching this after the fact, yeah, I appreciate you guys watching it, and we're going to be working on the roughs for page 19 on the next stream, thumbnails and roughs. So that'll do it. Thanks, and I will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.